your takeaways from the Iowa duel?
I thought it was a great duel. We're on the losing end of it, but I thought did some good things. I thought it was a great atmosphere and good for. I think it was good for our guys to wrestle that match. I think we've been able to make some improvements going in the conference room.
What led you decide to go with Ren at 133?
There's just factors that go into that stuff. I think we wanted to see what we use our dates and see what we had with Ren, and Ren wanted to wrestle and did a great job. It's like the hardest first match in the history of college wrestling, and I think he did pretty dang good. So he's got a lot of things that he's working through, and it was good to see that. And also we were able to keep Reese's allocation at the same time. So I think it was we tell our guys to take risks, and as coaches, we got to take some risks too sometimes.
Broadcast showed, I think it was you and was it Tyler or was it Jimmy? I think it was Jimmy holding up the translation cards for him. Is that something you guys rehearsed beforehand?
Well, I just think there's a lot that goes on out there, and it was just a couple phrases that Ren wanted to be reminded of. It's I don't even know if our guys can even really hear us in the corner, anyways. And there's just a couple reminders, in the moment that just kept them present.
What have you seen from him in the room so far?
He's a tough kid. He went out and wrestled #1 guy in the country, and he scrapped. That was I don't know if the scores really reflected. I think the match was, it was a pretty competitive match, and he's hungry to get better, and just pretty tough competitor.
I know you guys didn't have him the first semester. Was there a moment like during training whenever he did step foot on campus where it just kind of blew you away?
Well, I think he's had a lot of success. He's arguably Japan's one of their best guys at 57 kilos. He's wrestling at the Asian Championships here. Japan's not sending guys to the Asian Championships they don't think are going to be pretty competitive. So he's just a tough kid, tough competitor. And he's working through the transition, folk style, freestyle is his background, but there's a lot of things that he's got in his skill set that can make him pretty tough.
Is there an aspect of his skill set that you like best?
Just a tough competitor.
How hard a decision was it as a coach at 149?
It's a tough decision, it was. Those are, as a coach, we gotta feel like we put our 10 best guys out there, and Teague's excited and hungry to compete, and we're looking forward to supporting him.
How is he health-wise?
He's good.
How long has he been really able to go in the room?
He had obviously his injury, and guys can take kind of two routes. You can kind of just say, hey, this is I'm done till next year.
Mm-hmm.
But he started feeling good and just followed his plan. With Nick and our trainer, and he just was always working. As he could get on the bike, he was on the bike. As he was training, and he just on his he took the initiative. To get his weight down and to get in great shape, and and he's hungry and excited to compete.
How did you feel about the seeds and the brackets? Have you made a good look at it, or?
Yeah, I glanced through them, but I think it's conference tournament stuff. You gotta wrestle, and you gotta beat the guys, and you gotta qualify for the national tournament. In doing so, we talk about our guys, they'll build their reputation. It's just nothing's changed. Nothing's changed from the dual meets that we've had. We've seen a lot of these opponents during the year. A couple of them we haven't seen. Some of these guys, their schedules, we didn't see them. So there's some new faces in there, but we just got to go out and compete. That's really what it's about.
I asked Tegan and Dean both, how important is it to get 10 guys to Philly? That obviously goes along with winning the conference championship. You have a good chance if you get 10 qualified, but that's pretty important to take 10 to nationals, isn't it, if you can?
You don't win the nationals with 10 qualifiers. You win the nationals by scoring the most amount of points, right? So I think it's just, that would be great, but we're not. The goal is not qualifying for the nationals. Our goal is beyond that, right? So it's just, we got to go out and we got to compete hard. We got a tough conference ahead of us, and first things first, we got to worry about this weekend.
David, how much would bringing a conference title back to Oklahoma State mean to you in your first year?
I mean, it would be great. I mean, but really, it's just, I want our guys to be able to go and compete, you know, and I'm excited to watch them wrestle. I mean, tournaments are what defines the end of the season in every aspect, you know, as a youth wrestler, as a high school wrestler, as a collegiate wrestler, as wrestling the world. The Olympics tournaments are what you got to win, you know, so I think it's individually looking forward to our guys going out and competing. You know, I think we've had a really great end of the season training wise and preparation mindset, just their attitudes and their demeanors. So we just got to go out and, you know, just go out and compete for 7 minutes.
I'm sure you guys did a little bit about this at the Cliff Keen, but as a coach and as your staff with different guys going at the same time and stuff, have you kind of thought about how you're going to attack those situations?
Yeah, I mean, I think we had a pretty good balance in Vegas. I think that was a good opportunity. Obviously, we had all 10 guys wrestling well and competing at the same time. You know, I think we have a pretty good flow of just kind of how we kind of jump around the different corners, and obviously this is my first conference tournament, so you know I've been asking, you know, I ask guys questions, you know, like, what do you need from me? How can I help you? You know, that's what we do have a lot of dialogue with our guys that way, and just with all of our coaches, we're just there to help them. You know, we're confident, they're confident with whoever's in the corner. You know, we're ready to go to battle.
I asked your guys how they thought you were different than maybe some past coaches they've had throughout their wrestling careers. More relaxed came up. Does that surprise you to hear them describe you that way?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm passionate. You know, I'm enthusiastic about being in there and coaching. But I think my job as a coach is to remain neutral and be a stable presence for them. You know, they're going through all kinds of different things in their head, you know, and just trying to remind them, hey, dude, we're prepared. We're ready to go wrestle. We want the best version of whoever steps on the mat, and we're ready to go, you know. And I think it was something that settled me when I competed. And, you know, I think you have different guys. They have different demeanors, you know. So, you know, things happen in matches. Things happen in tournaments that ebb and flow, and you got to reset. You know. So I think, yeah, maybe internally, you know, obviously I'm pretty competitive, you know, but I think for them, just stable presence, that's my goal.
Is that, I was just gonna say, when you're in the corner, is that what you hope when guys look at you, that they're, you know, they can sort of look at you and get a visual reminder to you know, sort of center and kind of like you said, not get too high or too low?
I'm just focused on them. You know, I'm focused on them and helping them, and I've learned to not only watch the wrestling, watch the referees' mechanics and what's going on in the match, and see the demeanors and what's going on. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes into coaching, you know, and you just trying to just help your guys the best that you can. You know, some guys maybe need to be more motivated. Some guys need to be reminded, you know, hey, you got this. You know, some guys, you got to remind them to relax. You got 7 minutes, you know. So I think every guy's a little different. You know, that's, I think, what's the greatest thing about being a college coach is you're with these guys all the time, you know, multiple times a day, every week, all year long. So you get to know their ins and outs. You can tell when they walk out on the mat what this version's going to look like, you know. So I think it's a pretty special job, and you just get to know the kids and just trying to help them.
Was there a particular coach during your career that really provided that for you, realized that was what you needed, that stable force?
I mean, I think, yeah, I've been blessed to have a lot of great coaches, you know, and I think I've had coaches that have different coaching philosophies. I was a pretty confident competitor, but I need to be reminded sometimes, you know, hey, relax, you know. And I think part of competing at the level I did for as long as I did is, you know, I made the mistake of warming up too early for the national finals, or warming up too late, or eating something that was too much or too little, and I felt great or I didn't feel good. So there's trial and error that I went through. So I just kind of help remind those guys, hey, you know, little things, this is what helped me. But not everyone's the same. Not everyone's the same, you know. So yeah, but I've had some great coaches that have helped me.
You mentioned earlier tournaments create different scenarios within them. You said you glanced at the brackets, heavyweight, you know, he set out the Air Force match because he really didn't want to go. Now the bracket says you go against your former teammate right out of the gate. And have you talked to him about that?
I haven't.
I don't think it's a problem.
Yeah, no, I'm Wyatt's gonna
I
go
think
wrestle.
you like to
Yeah,
avoid
he's
it,
not-
but Wyatt is going to go do what he does.
Yeah, I mean, I think that duel was a unique circumstance, but I mean, this is the tournament. I mean, he's driven. He wants. He's a guy who wants to go out and put on a show. And that starts from the first match all the way through. And he's been a big. He's helped our team a lot this year. Scores a lot of points. So I know he's excited to go do that.
David, earlier, before the season started, you said, you're trying to be your own coach, your own person, lay your own foundation. But, wrestling under someone like Coach Sanderson, how much do you take from his coaching philosophy and apply to your own?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've been a part of a lot of really successful wrestling programs and successful coaches, and you just take a little bit from everybody. I think earlier in Kale's career, he's definitely a little more fiery, more competitive. Should have his competitive career, and he's definitely his demeanor. I think he's always had a very calm demeanor. But I was part of 15 years of seeing things change. So yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot to be learned, from those guys. And but there's times to be calm, and there's times to be more energized, and obviously you've seen both of those from him, So I just think, yeah, I mean, but we're trying to be the best program that we can be, And I think I rely on our coaches here and their experience and what we can do. Again, the goal is, not to imitate or anyone else. It's just telling our guys to be the best versions of themselves. That's what we're trying to be as coaches, the same.
Throughout the year, we've asked you about, just your philosophy with scoring points in bunches quickly. Does that become even more imperative, I guess, heading into a tournament like this?
Yeah, I mean, in a conference tournament, there's just not a lot of separation, right? There's not enough matches to separate yourself, really. Like everybody's in it. The difference between a champion and third place is really not that much. A couple bonus points here or there can make a big difference. You can get third. You get third place, score more points. The guy who wins the tournament gets all decisions. So I think, I think our team can score bonus points. It has done that this year, and I think all of that is practice and preparation for what's upcoming. I think there's a selfless component to, hey, I'm winning by 7, I could chill out, or I go get the major decision. I think our guys are programmed and excited to go do that. There's something a little bigger than just yourself. The best thing you do for yourself and for the team is to go score and keep scoring. That's what we were going to go do. That's where we find our comfort. So, yeah, we got to put that to the test. We'll put that to the test. But, we got some guys that can score some points, and looking forward to them going out and doing that.
It's a little off topic, but he brought up your relationship with Kale. Any chance Penn State gets on the dual schedule at some point?
That would be awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think it's something that could be in the works. I would love to get that duel on the schedule. I think it would be great for wrestling.
Do you have any favorite memories from your time as a competitor at conference tournaments?
My first year at the conference tournament, our team had lost to Iowa in the dual meet that year, and I think as a team we thought we could win, but I don't know if anyone else really thought we could win because we were a pretty young team. And we won, I think, the last 10 or 11 matches, and it came down to heavyweight, winning by bonus points. We won by half a point. I think we won all 11 of that last round, all placement matches, and I think we won the Big Ten that year. And I think that was pretty cool. That was obviously the beginning of something that was pretty cool, and I think it was a team effort that was able to do that. I think I think our team is prepared to put together a team effort, and very well need something like that the next couple of weeks. So yeah, every point matters. It definitely matters, and just got to fight to the very end.
Something came up the other day, just random conversation, but there's a couple guys on your roster that have really good kids nationally in front of them. I mean, all-time Olympic champion at heavyweight, things like that. Tyler Caldwell, your assistant coach, was in kind of a similar scenario when he was in college behind you and Dake and Jordan Burroughs. Do you guys ever talk about that dynamic and your competitive days and what it was like at that time?
Talk to Tyler.
Yeah. And even kind of related to some of those kids that are maybe in those spots
Yeah.
of those guys like that in front of them.
My NCAA bracket is in my office, so every day we have meetings, he's got to look at it. So I'm sure he's not like super pumped about that. He jokes about it, you know. But yeah, I mean, I just think the national tournament is so awesome, and when you get the best thing is when you get multiple really good guys in one bracket. I mean, that's exciting. You get to find out who the best guy in the country is, you know. And I think in the last handful of years, we've had some young guys, collegiate level guys, that have reached that status, you know, which is awesome for wrestling. But I mean, you see special things happen all the time in the national tournament. You know, I mean, it's why you wrestle a tournament. You don't crown the champions ahead of time. You got to wrestle through it. You got to get through, 3 days of tough competition, navigate five matches. You know, so yeah, I mean, our guys are just looking forward to going out and competing.
Obviously, Dean had already had a pretty good career at Wisconsin before he came here, but it really just night and day what he was a year ago, it seems like. What specifically have you seen differently from him from a tactical standpoint, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I think an area that we try and really help our guys, we just prepare them for, match situations, what to expect. And, when guys have had, 3 years of competing ahead of time, obviously they're pretty prepared for what's going on. So just little tweaks. I think with DJ, it's just keep scoring, and I think he's done a really good job of that. He can threaten guys in all three positions. He wrestles with Tyler a lot. I think Tyler has definitely helped him a lot this year, and it's challenged him in a lot of areas, and there's a lot of comfortability with those guys. And but DJ he's dynamic. He's a dynamic scorer, and he's got a lot of confidence. So just got to keep that ball rolling.